Welcome to Wrasslin Raw!
All right, you're listening to Wrasslin Raw, the podcast that takes you back to when Raw became war and Attitude ruled. Thank you for joining us. You're here with Ryan Arico.
Tonight, there will be a sacrifice.
Joe Giammatteo.
Stun me, Steve, please.
I'm the one and only Jason Bartlett. We're going to examine WWE history, one episode of Raw is War at a time. In this episode of Wrasslin Raw, we're going to be talking about the Raw that aired on December 7th, 1998. This Raw was recorded at the New Haven Coliseum in New Haven, Connecticut, and features Jerry the King Lawler and Michael Cole on commentary. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready. Not for Michael Cole, though.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
All right, then.
Give the Colster a break.
Well, we're going to have him for the next few months, right?
Yeah.
Oh, are we? This wasn't just
well,
a
this is the Bell's palsy.
Oh, okay. I thought it was...
I had to look it up because I thought that's what it was. And yeah, JR, the day before on the 6th, had his second serious bout of Bell's palsy and will be out for 3-4 months now.
Oh, they're working it because they blamed it on his dead mother.
Well, that's what's crazy. Like, this is when his mother died, and then like 2 days later they had that UK pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Right.
And so he had his attack, and we're going to be without JR until
knee deep in Cole.
Yeah, until WrestleMania 15 actually. So it's going to be a few months at least.
By God.
Yep.
All right. Well, with a heavy heart, I say, let's get into it. Our episode started with an extremely repetitive video and soundbite recap of the recent events between Steve Austin and The Undertaker, as well as Mankind's recent run-ins with the corporation. That was capped off with some video footage of the Big Boss Man winning the Hardcore title from Mankind. But the real tidbit there is that tonight we're going to have a tag team match. Austin and Mankind will be taking on The Rock and The Undertaker. Once things got to the arena, I was immediately disappointed to hear that Michael Cole was sitting in for Jim Ross. This is a problem that I've always had with Michael Cole, and it does decrease over the course of this episode, but his volume level was way too high. I've mentioned it here before, but screaming things does not make them more interesting or exciting.
Well, and he just doesn't have that chemistry that with the King that JR does, so it's a shame.
Again, I will be the apologist for Michael Cole here. I don't know if you guys noticed, but that was dubbed in because you could see JR at the commentator table during this entire show in his hat.
Did not pay attention to that at all.
Either.
Yeah. So that was definitely a voiceover job that Michael Cole had to do for this show, yeah.
So they decide to voice it over because he just didn't sound right, or?
Well, I don't know. They do that shit with these taped shows a lot. This was not a live show, so they do that a lot. So I don't know why they made that decision.
Why not just give the JR cut and then next week he's gone?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how they do that. They do a lot of voiceover. Even when JR is there, they do a lot of the voiceover stuff for the taped shows.
That package needs to be polished, pal. So, back in the arena here, D-Generation X came out to start things up. This was Chyna and X-Pac. Chyna looked amazing, of course. But, of course, there was that mention of whether or not the Outlaws were joining the corporation, and Triple H went straight to addressing that. He called out the Outlaws for an answer. The Outlaws came out wearing suits, pinkies held high as they sipped bottled water, and there was also a change-up in their intro. They swapped Vincent K. McMahon in there, as well as a few other things. But then the Outlaws introduced Shawn Michaels, and I will also note here that everybody here has gotten their intro music. So this has gone on for a while. D-Generation X, the Outlaws, Shawn Michaels now. We went through the Boy Toys song at least 15 times when he was walking out.
That's in his contract.
But Shawn's suit fit correctly this time. I was very pleased to see. It wasn't a Rick Rude cast-off anymore. This ended up turning into a pissing contest between Triple H and Shawn. Who owes who what, who did what for who, etc. Sean ended up saying to Trips that Sean has had balls that Trips never had, and I immediately thought he was referring to Vince McMahon. Sean then made a match for later tonight, Triple H and X-Pac versus the Big Boss Man and Ken Shamrock in an Anything Goes match. And as the ring started to clear out, the rest of the corporation appeared at the top of the ramp to approve of everything. I did like Sean maneuvering around to make sure that he stayed front and center for the camera shot before we moved on, which was to a video highlighting the upcoming pay-per-view, Rock Bottom, which will be happening on the Sunday following this episode. So the next episode we will be releasing will be on Rock Bottom. After that, we went backstage to the DX dressing room. X-Pac was upset about things while Triple H was trying to give him a pep talk, especially highlighting China as the ace in the hole that they need. So, guys, this was a decent setup for the rest of the evening, but I have to say that at this point, I'm just a little skeptical of things. I don't care for the corporate outlaws angle. I haven't at all in the lead up to this. And while I do think that DX as a stable needs something to freshen it up after Triple H's return, because let's be honest, it was floundering without him. I just wish we had something or someone other than the corporation for them to feud with. It feels like we're putting all of our heel eggs into one basket here, and that is the corporate basket. So, Ryan, what did you think of the way that we started the evening?
I have to say I rather enjoyed it. I thought this is something DX needed. I understand your complaint that the corporation is everyone's bad guy right now, but they're really the only competent heel stable right now. So I guess it makes sense. When Triple H came out, though, he's stepping a little bit more into the Motorhead Triple H. He had on the black leather coat and the black pants and leather boots, and he was definitely doing the more familiar Triple H voice. I don't hate the corporate outlaws. Me and Joe talked about that last time, where we just feel they needed something. And I think having the feud between Triple H and HBK, which this is the first time we're truly getting this animosity between who started or who's more in control of DX, that's something that's going to play out over the years to come. But this is the first step of that. And I thought this is exactly what DX needed, a little injection in the story to pull them out of the blue steel jaws of hell that they were in.
Yes, I will start with Chyna. I think Chyna's body is incredible here. She's got the hair blown out tonight, too. She looks great.
Look at that jaw.
And I'm only being maybe 30% perverted when I say that. I think that her look is something that many of the current day women wrestlers aim for. Let's just put it that way. Chyna was no doubt assisted by steroids, but I do give her credit. She definitely looks great. Just a work of art. And Triple H, I'm really realizing after hearing some people years later talk about this, he's really just not good on the mic. I don't think he is.
No.
Yeah, they're doing the whose side are you on gimmick with the Outlaws, which, I don't know, we've seen it before, but it is a nice little something different for the Outlaws, which we said that's something they had to do. I don't remember this little feud between Commissioner Heartbreak and Try. I remember their little feud when Sean comes back a few years later, but I don't remember this little feud here. And I feel like they could have done a little bit more with this if they were really going to lean into it. They could have gone a little bit more inside baseball with this, and maybe Triple H could have mentioned the Marines beating the shit out of Sean or other shenanigans that have happened, but they didn't go there. I guess it's maybe just going to be a short-term thing or just nothing. So we'll see what happens there. And yeah, booking a match tonight between Triple H and X-Pac versus Shamrock and Big Boss Man. And what was it called again? Anything Goes? Match?
Yeah, I think that's what they called it.
Maybe they'll be singing show tunes during that match. Isn't that a musical? Anything Goes? I think it is. So that is what Jim Cornette would call a lazy booking match.
Yeah. So it's such a weird spot that I'm in with this because I like Sean as commissioner here. I like I like his mic work especially. He's doing a great job of putting people in their places on the microphone. But I just almost wish that he was not a corporate commissioner. If he was fucking with the corporation in equal amounts as he is fucking with everybody else, DX included, because Sean would be the perfect person to have that arrogant, I'm better than every single one of you character, and back it up for the most part, really, and just stick it to everybody around him because he can't wrestle anymore. I don't know. That would have been another heel to have that was not a corporate heel, but I digress. Let's get into our first match of the night. D'Lo Brown with Mark Henry defeats Jeff Jarrett with Deborah by pinfall in 2 minutes and 24 seconds. My first note was that I just realized that we haven't seen Jeff with a guitar in a while. I guess somebody told him that the headshots were getting old, but then we also got a clip from last night where Goldust was being suitably bizarre when he challenged Jeff to a match. The loser is going to strip down with Goldust, putting up his outfit against Deborah's outfit, making specific reference to Deborah's tasty cakes. That was some good Goldust there. It was brief, though. But like this then immediately made me a liar because last night, I guess, Jeff had also brought a guitar to the ring. D'Lo hit Jeff over the head with it, so there's that.
Here's the setup for tonight.
Yeah. I really like that Jeff does not hold the ropes for Deborah. That's a good heel move. It's one of those little things that you just notice. D'Lo Brown, he came out to new music. It was terrible. Didn't like it at all.
I like that you better recognize on repeat, though.
That was good, but they need a new mix. That what they had now had these really weird offbeats that was just, I don't know, too much silence mixed in there. But anyway, I in the match here, I appreciated Deborah objecting to the referee, as she is wont to do, but I also did not appreciate Earl Hebner taking the time to explain the rules to her as if there wasn't a fucking match going on behind him in the background. You could just see him, like, using his hand gestures to, like, spell out how the match is supposed to work. Fucking asshole. We got the news here that JR's mother passed away a couple days prior to this, so that was the on-screen explanation for his absence. And this is where I had noted that Michael Cole and the King, zero chemistry with each other. I, at the time of writing this, did not know about the overdub, so that explains everything. But it does get better over the course of the evening, which is weird. At one point, Michael Cole does say, "What a maneuver." And I groaned. And
he got a pay bump for that one.
Yeah. Because he was in a recording booth, he didn't have Vince in his ear. He had Vince standing right next to him saying, "Say it, God damn it."
He also, anytime there was any female appearance, he had to do the "whoa."
Is Michael Cole just a Vince McMahon wannabe at this stage? Like, is he trying to emulate Vince McMahon to get in his good graces to let him host shows more often?
So that Vince McMahon will take a dump on him?
Yeah, I'm sure Vince McMahon beat him up a little bit back in the day.
No, at the end of this, Goldust came out in a brown trench coat and his wig with face makeup to flash Deborah and Jeff. That provided the distraction for the win. So this match was fine. Nothing really stood out to me except Goldust. This is a step in the right direction for him because the whole, like, flasher in a brown trench coat trope, perfect thing for Goldust to do. I love it. Ryan, what'd you think of our first match here?
One thing I really loved right at the start, so I'm actually going to give Michael Cole a little bit of props here, but he mentioned that the UK still refers to D'Lo Brown as the European champ, and I have to imagine that Lord Thomas, the Viscount of Grimsby, would agree ever since Brown ate at that Barge of Cum fish restaurant or whatever the hell it was called.
Disgusting.
God.
But I agree with you about the match. It's nothing fantastic, but it was serviceable. Better than what we've been getting out of Jeff Jarrett recently. And really them telling us that this pay-per-view match is going to be a possible chance for Deborah to have to strip makes their match a little more interesting too, him and Goldust. So good job on their part getting Horn Dogs a little more excited for this pay-per-view match. But I also agree the ending was good. Goldust looking a little bit more bizarre. It's like they heard us that he dropped the bizarreness. And when you do that, what the fuck's the point of having Goldust out there? So that worked all around. This was a step up for Goldust and Jeff Jarrett. D'Lo's already been up there. That didn't matter. Yeah. So it was nice that he got the victory. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't really have anything on the match itself. I feel like this whole thing was mostly just a setup for the pay-per-view and basically a setup for the potential chance to see Deborah's boobs on pay-per-view. So
puppies, if you will.
Yeah.
Tasty cakes.
This was 90s creepy Goldust that we want to see. So I thought this was good for Goldust moving forward. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, I think this is just really a attempt to sell that pay-per-view, and what better attempt than selling
titties.
Boobs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pay the $30 to maybe see a pair of boobs on a wrestling show.
That are probably, if they get shown at all, going to have a big set of pasties on them.
Well,
denying
still
us the
worth $30 though.
Well, it's the nipple that's the problem. I don't know if you knew that.
Well, right.
Or not, but
that's the danger zone.
The problematic part.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it going. To backstage, Stone Cold Steve Austin was back there bitching to one of the road agents. I forget the guy's name, but he's a really familiar figure. He's always like one of the officials that comes out whenever officials flood the ring. I know he's a road agent, but I can't remember his name. He's been there for quite a while. Steve was griping about being in that match with Mankind later on in the evening, and I quote, pissed off about everything that's going on, end quote. Then we went to a commercial for WWF Attitude Cologne, starring those two fans, Andy and Jeff, or whatever the fuck their names were. I'm just guessing there because I really don't remember. And this segment got capped off by some brief video clips of Vince McMahon during a visit to Oxford University. He was addressing some students there about his company and very flamboyantly asking for a greater reception than a parliamentarian or a queen. So, guys, this was a typical mid-match segment with the exception of that weird-ass speaking engagement that Vince had at Oxford. Just real quick, Ryan first, what'd you think about all this?
The Cologne commercial is exactly that Calvin Klein black and white ripoff commercial that I sent to you guys like a month ago in Discord. So unfortunately, we had to watch that again. Vince McMahon at Oxford was just hilarious as far as I'm concerned. He referred to them as enlightened after they cheered for him. I don't know. It's just a very weird sight to see Vince McMahon and the WWF in Oxford University. They just don't really seem to go together, but funny nevertheless.
Yes, absolutely horrible attitude cologne commercial. It makes the cologne just look like a joke. So I'm sure it sold like shit. I don't really know how well that cologne did as far as sales, but
it smelled like shit too.
With a commercial like this, I can't imagine it went very well. And yeah, Vince McMahon at Oxford, I popped so hard at that. I just thought it was just such a natural heel, weird appearance by him there, and obviously he's there because they're at the pay-per-view over there. So I guess he decided to make that appearance, and I loved it. I thought it was hilarious.
Yes, I can't remember it exactly, but it reminds me of some analogy of something like putting a fancy hat on a pig or something like that.
Lipstick on a pig.
That's it. Lipstick on a pig. All right. Well, yeah, let's go through our next match. The Headbangers defeat the Brood. This was Edge and Gangrel with Christian at the outside by disqualification in 2 minutes and 7 seconds. We got the word here that the Headbangers are going to be at the pay-per-view, so there's a dud already. And they brought up the red substance at the start of this. That made me think of you, Joe. Exhausting.
What is it?
I loved the view of tons of people leaving the arena up the stairs to go hit the hot dog stand during this match. And eventually Luna and Tiger Ali Singh and the Oddities all showed up at the same time to draw the disqualification. This was terrible. That's all I have. Ryan, your thoughts, please.
Yes, I agree 100%. I remember a short while ago, the Headbangers were in what looked like a push for the tag team titles against the Outlaws, where they were like mocking them.
Yeah.
And that just fell flat and went nowhere, and we just forgot about it. They never got a title match. It's just done with, and rightfully so. Michael Cole is picking up on a few JR-isms here. Not only the red substance that he can't figure out is being sprayed out of the Brood's mouth, but also referring to the Brood and their gothic lifestyle. So that was two things. Those were highlights of the match because I completely agree. Just absolute shit. The end of this, we have a giant schmoz of garbage that comes out to finish the match. Like, this didn't get me excited at all for anything that anyone here is going to be involved in the pay-per-view.
I am afraid I'm beginning to think that the Brood is not as cool as we thought it was back in the day. I hate to say it.
They still have time.
There's time, and they're not involved with... Obviously, they're in a match with the Headbangers here, so that's shitty.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll get into some better opponents to work with at some point, but right now, it's just a nostalgia thing. It's just like, man, this isn't really that great. That's a shame. But yeah, I did hear Michael Cole steal from JR there, but he also, I think he did a good job of kind of describing the Brood, reminding us that Christian and Edge are brothers. Gangrel appears to be the leader. They're trying to keep us interested in the Brood, but they're not really giving us anything that is very exciting yet. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, putting them up against the Headbangers is not going to help
having
much.
The oddities come out and clear the ring, like it's just not good.
I wonder, thinking back, maybe our remembered greatness of the Brood is solely from their kick-ass entrance music. Maybe that's where it all comes from.
Well, I don't know. I've been a little skeptical from the start here, but Gangrel is a hell of a worker. That's the thing. Well, I mean, that's what I keep trying to rely on.
Everyone involved in the Brood is, so it feels like
they're still a little green.
Well, but still. Better than a good portion of the garbage we see being thrown out there.
Yeah. And to be honest, I was never really a huge Edge and Christian fan. Like, once they get away from this and do their own thing, I never really cared. I don't know. But I wanted to ask you guys, did they ever explain what Tiger Ali Singh had to do with any of this?
I don't know.
Like, the oddities make sense because they're doing that weird feud with the Headbangers, but what does Tiger have to do with these people?
They were looking for something for him to do after they told the man's man that he needed to get in better shape. Because remember, he had a feud going with Ed.
Right.
Yeah. Go dry up, Steven. Okay. Well, that does answer that. That's a pretty plausible explanation. So we'll go next to some kind of boiler room. Mankind was there, sweet-talking some steel chairs. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was pretty funny, saying that he would always be with them because they've always been with him. Then we got a Glover rewind to last week when Paul Bearer got shoved headfirst into a sewer. That was just as entertaining this time around. And then back to backstage. Vince McMahon was there giving Paul Bearer a pep talk along with Shane McMahon and The Rock. Everybody getting on the same page there. So again, just briefly, guys, Joe first, what'd you have on this?
Well, I liked the Mankind piece there, and then I enjoyed seeing Mr. McMahon yelling at Paul Bearer to make sure that the Undertaker is going to work together with The Rock there. So I liked that.
Yeah, both of these segments were pretty good. My favorite, definitely was Mankind caressing the folding chairs and sweet-talking them. That's just perfect, crazy Mankind.
His brains are scrambled.
Yeah, completely scrambled, over easy. So, yeah, love that.
How do you like your eggs? Give them to me CTE style.
Jeez.
Yeah, that was
scrambled good. And well done.
All right, let's get into our next match. Goldust defeats Owen Hart by pinfall in 4 minutes and 20 seconds. On Heat last night, Owen stated that he would be coming out of retirement at the pay-per-view to fight Steve Blackman, with then no explanation as to why Owen is here now, wrestling. Some kids got a nugget chant going, dragging Owen backwards in doing so. He's not going to be allowed to move past that for the rest of his life. Nothing of any note happened until Jeff Jarrett and Deborah came out. Deborah was wearing a brown trench coat and flashed Goldust for the distraction. Owen took advantage of to get the pin and the win. So, Joe, I wanted to go to you first with this one. I feel like the mutual flashing in this episode, so Goldust first and then now Deborah, I feel like that kind of weakens the appeal of the upcoming gimmick match. Or am I just being a nitpicking dickbag here?
No, you're a nitpicking dickbag. This is just foreplay. This is foreplay before the big event.
A little bit of a tease.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they have to tease us. And remember, 1998, you didn't have porno right in your hand on your smartphone. So it's like, well, I can see some boobs on a pay-per-view. I'm probably going to pay for that to see that. Especially this demographic that we've seen, these bloodthirsty, horny fans back in the day.
That guy we're going to see later with The Godfather.
Bob, yeah.
Bob, God.
Christmas came early for Bob. But yeah, look, we've got Gold Dust being creepy, and that's what we want. So we're moving in the right direction there, and we're moving in the wrong direction with Owen Hart, because the whole retirement angle for Owen is just dumb as hell, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. The whole Owen Hart retirement thing just didn't work from the beginning, and it doesn't work here. The match was fine enough, though. Bartlett, I have to correct you. You misspoke at the end here. Deborah's flashing ended up distracting Owen more than it did Goldust, and Goldust picked up the victory.
My bad. Yes, my bad.
Yeah, just wanted to explain that.
I did mistype that, yes.
Which again plays into the whole Goldust gimmick. So that's the only reason I wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
It was him. I don't give a shit. I'm a androgynous freak. But Owen wanted to get a free look, and it cost him. So again, setting up this match between Goldust and Jeff Jarrett for the pay-per-view. Unfortunately, I still don't give a shit about what Owen Hart's going to do at the pay-per-view, and that's a shame.
Yeah, agreed. And I do apologize for that mistake. I had porn in my hand, and I'm not going to tell you what was in the other one, so we'll just keep it moving.
Barge of cum.
That's one of the best misinterpretations of all time. The Viscount was just trying to use a Latin turn of phrase, and you just totally took it.
Sorry, I'm an idiot.
All right. So backstage again, Austin was pacing back and forth while Mankind was rocking back and forth in separate locations, to be sure, but they were both waiting anxiously to have to work together. And we then got some clips of D'Lo Brown, Al Snow, Michael Cole, all walking around London to advertise the Capital Carnage event they had there, as well as a lot of footage of the fans who were very obviously having a great time. So just real quick, anything you guys want to throw in there? Joe, take that first.
Well, I loved seeing D'Lo Brown mix it up with the fans there, the locals in England, because he does represent them. So I loved seeing that.
My favorite thing was the background music, a very classic Jim Johnston Prodigy ripoff. It sounded like was being played. It was like Firestarter or Smack Your Bitch Up, but not quite. Just to have that Johnston touch to it.
Oh, I never knew you were such a Prodigy connoisseur. All right, well, let's keep it going to our next match. The Acolytes with the Jackal versus Val Venus and the Godfather ends in a no contest in 48 seconds. So here's the Ho update for New Haven, Connecticut. This one was a tie, in my opinion. Both of these ladies had positive and negative attributes, and they evened each other out. I would be comfortable taking a coin flip on that one.
I agree.
Yeah, the one kind of looked like a coked out Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
And the other one had a little bit of that like white trash trailer park looking, but still hot look to her. But
good for Bob.
Yeah.
So for the holiday season, the Godfather was feeling very giving, and he offered the hose to somebody in the audience, and the Godfather picked out a total chud of a human being named Bob.
With a completely generic blank football jersey. What the fuck was that?
Yeah, well,
it was like
we can't spend too much on the crowd plants here, pal.
New Haven,
Connecticut. Yes.
Yeah.
The people of New Haven overall just not very creative. I noticed in this, but
that'll come up at the end of our show.
Yeah, same for me. But yeah, Bob, he made out like a bandit here. Absolutely disgusting. And I can't fault a person for having a large stomach. I myself have what could be called a beer gut. But for some reason, just whenever they wear their pants around their freaking belly
like up to their
buttons.
titties.
And I know you're supposed to do that anyway. That's where your true waist is, but
It doesn't look right if you got a gut.
Man,
hideous.
Bob
Hideous.
is taking shots here.
Well,
And then that hair and the goatee, he just was,
yeah.
I don't
Jeez.
know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
Just
think Bob
something-
was maybe a cable puller.
I have noted here that Bob obviously works at the strip club where Godfather found these hoes.
Pretender.
There's no doubt.
Yeah,
The
he's gotta be
DJ.
the bartender. He was too short to be a bouncer.
Right.
Almost looked like 2010's Ron Jeremy in a way. Like overweight and
Yeah, just
facial features.
sloppy.
Yeah. But
Bob.
yeah, well, hey, he got 2 hoes for free, and
He did.
and equal 50-50 hoes.
But
So,
we're laying into him pretty hard right now.
yeah,
So was the king.
yeah. But then the Acolytes did come out, and their music, it was really, really familiar. I couldn't put my finger on where I'd heard it before, but it really sounded like a recycled entrance from somebody else, but I can't tell you who. Maybe it'll come to me if we hear it a couple more times here in the future, but it really stood out to me as being familiar. The referee called the no contest, I guess, because the Acolytes wouldn't stop beating the shit out of Val and the Godfather. This was never really fleshed out because we very quickly moved away from this match. So whenever you guys are up, throw any kind of insight you want on that. But I have mixed feelings about this. The pairing of Val and the Godfather makes sense to me. And I like the Acolytes, but I hate the Jackal. I wish things would have been like a little more clearly explained for the finish. But all in all, it was good to see just a good, solid, stiff brawl here, as well as the hose. So Ryan, what'd you think of this?
Yeah, it was odd. This was mainly to show off the hose. And again, I agree. Godfather and Val Venus, they work together. That's a good pairing. The Acolytes, we don't really get a match here, but I thought it was a good job of, again, just like the last time we saw them, making the Acolytes look like badasses. We have 2 pretty respected baby faces here at this time with Godfather and Val. And the Acolytes just manhandle them and beat their balls off, and the ref got to call it. So I like that. Hopefully the Jackal will be gone soon, but I enjoy the build-up they're doing for the Acolytes. I think it's working for me, brother.
Yes. I actually thought that this whole thing was awesome and just very 90s as far as a Raw episode. This segment in particular, we talked about the giveaway of the hose, and I don't remember this union between the porn star and the Godfather pimp, but it totally makes sense at this time. And it's getting huge reactions from these live crowds too. So this segment had to be extremely fun for the live crowd. And I love this Acolytes gimmick already, and they're not even APA yet. I think most people know them from their APA days after the Acolytes, but they basically just made it a point to go out there and just let's look like we are kicking the absolute shit out of people for real.
Yeah.
And we will take some hard bumps too. Like that seems like that was their plan, and it works very well for 2 guys like that.
Yeah, I thought something very, very similar to that whenever Bradshaw got tossed into the ring stairs. He took that pretty damn hard. And the Godfather, I didn't really see much of Val in this, but the Godfather was giving it out just as hard as Bradshaw and Farouk were. So that's one of the things that made it fun to watch, as short as it was.
Yeah, nobody wants to see Bradshaw and Farouk technical wrestle anybody.
Right.
Like you want to see them just beat the shit out of people.
Yep, agreed. We're going to go backstage again to Stone Cold Steve Austin. This time he was walking towards the ring, and that was interrupted by a JVC Kaboom of the Week. That was Austin breaking that shovel off over the Undertaker's face.
Which again doesn't make sense because the Kaboom box doesn't break. That shovel. I don't know why
that shovel broke.
Yes.
And we had that familiar clang sound for each hit again.
The gong.
Repeated. And after that, we came back to Austin coming out to the ring to lay down a promo. Austin ran down the list of times The Undertaker tried and failed to murder him. prompting the lights to go out and the bell to toll. And then the big Undertaker crucifix thing came down to hang in front of the Titantron, and there was either a recorded promo or the promo was just cut over the house PA, I'm not sure which, that said, "Tonight Austin will go into purgatory and then be sacrificed at the pay-per-view." Lightning then struck the crucifix, igniting it in supernatural fire. And after a commercial break, we went to Mankind marching around in the bowels of the building, apparently unhappy that Austin doesn't trust him. Our first time seeing this giant hanging Undertaker crucifix, and Ryan is our resident asshole for the Undertaker. What'd you have on this mid-match segment?
I thought it was a great segment. Stone Cold comes down here to kick off the second hour of Raw is War, reiterates all the things the Undertaker tried to do to him, and then we get the glimpse of the Ministry era Undertaker symbol, that fantastic crucifix. And the Undertaker does a great Undertaker heel style promo on Stone Cold saying he's gonna burn in hell. And then the bolt of lightning hits the symbol, catching it on fire. This is glorious drama, glorious over-the-top theatrics. This is why I always liked the Undertaker, because it's like watching a movie. Mankind backstage being insane again, always gonna love that.
Yes, this episode, we're at the point in these Raw episodes over the past few months where there's a lot of stuff happening that we remember happening, memorable moments. And this episode was not doing so hot in that category up until this point.
Yeah.
This is obviously something we all remember, the symbol. That symbol is going to play a huge part in the Undertaker's career moving forward here, so it's great to see that. And I agree, Ryan, where we have the Undertaker and we view whatever he's doing as a movie is when he is best, and that's what this is. And it's nice to have Stone Cold Steve Austin, even though we're not totally invested in Steve Austin and Undertaker's feud. It does give Stone Cold Steve Austin something else to work with other than Mr. McMahon. So I think that's a good thing when they do great things like this with the Undertaker and not have him in sweatpants.
Well, we'll talk about this more a little later, because this isn't the first time or last time we'll see this evening. But in the meantime, though.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you were going to say that we'd see him in sweatpants later.
Yeah, I thought maybe
scared me.
We had some extra attitude that I missed.
Sorry, I meant the crucifix, not the sweatpants.
Please don't scare me with the sweatpants again.
I'm pretty sure the sweatpants went straight to hell. I'm not.
Well, no, we said they were pressed and hung up in the closet.
That's right.
Put in some protective plastic. And
yes. Mothballs.
Starched.
Let's go to our next match. Steve Blackman defeats Tiger Ali Singh with Babu by pinfall in 2 minutes and 14 seconds. This match got going, and the only somewhat entertaining thing was the King rattling off the list of ways that people had humiliated themselves for Tiger, noting the kielbasa swallowing lady, the sardine kisses from Babu, and of course, the King's favorite, the toe jam. The King went on about the toe jam extensively for the majority of this match, as a matter of fact, talking about I'm not even going to go there, but then the Blue Blazer ran out, tripped over his own cape, Owen ran out too, and that extended this for another couple of minutes, and I still just cannot bring myself to give a shit about any of it. Joe, what'd you have on it?
Well, spoiler alert, this is probably going to be my low light tonight. This is pretty bad. And this is the second time we saw Tiger Ali Singh tonight, so that's not what anyone wants ever, is to see him at all, let alone
except for Bartlett.
Twice. Absolutely terrible.
I just don't think they're giving Tiger a chance.
Oh, they've given him a chance.
Yeah.
Well, come on now. They really haven't.
They've given him a chance.
Okay. Well.
I completely agree with Joe and you, Bartlett. This was shit. I just didn't give a shit about any of it. I want to care about Steve Blackman because I thought I remembered liking him a little better than I am right now. Maybe it's just him being from Annville, Pennsylvania, and that was why I liked him. But right now, things are not going great for him or Tiger Ali Singh. Owen comes out again, and again, I just don't care about this pay-per-view match. Not at all.
Yep. So we'll keep going. Mankind, he was still looking around for Austin. He ended up in some kind of unfurnished, unpopulated section of the arena, or whatever building they were filming this in. And that also just so happened to have a door with a sign on it that said Steve Austin. And we then went to a Rolling Stone section, or video section, about an article that was highlighting Stone Cold in Rolling Stone magazine. And after that, got another view of a completely different door with that Stone Cold sign on it. So a little continuity error there, but it's not a whole lot going on in that segment. So let's move it along to our next match. Mark Henry with D'Lo defeats Draws with Animal by pinfall in 3 minutes and 27 seconds. This is the first time anybody has mentioned the murder of Hawk since it happened.
That's what I had down too. I was like, why did no one care about the attempted murder / attempted suicide?
Yep. First time in weeks. And apparently Hawk is at home recovering from the murder at this time. So that's the status update. That's it. It was
great news.
Yeah, it is. It is great that the murder didn't take. But
yeah.
So, but now we're going to have more of this angle. So
somehow he survived a, what was that, 30-foot drop?
At least, yeah. Yep. Well, it was the alcohol. It makes you go limp.
Yeah. He bounced.
Much easier to tuck and roll. Can you tuck and roll from a straight down drop? I don't think it works that way.
I don't think so either.
So this wasn't much until China came out. And whenever I say this wasn't much, I'm not being derogatory to Mark Henry or Draws for that matter. The action in the ring was fine. There was nothing at all wrong with it. It was just very mundane, I guess we'll say, up until China came out. And then in a very predictable spot, she knocked out Draws, giving Mark Henry the pin and the win. And my God, the happiness pouring out of the screen from Mark Henry. Even the King commented repeatedly, actually, about how happy Mark Henry looks. And that's all I had, guys. This match was whatever. Again, not complaining, but I'm almost to the point where I would not mind if we could just get an hour and a half of the things that make Mark Henry happy. Just to see his smiling face over and over again. It does a world of good for my soul, at least. Ryan, what'd you have on this?
I agree in that the match actually was fine. It's a serviceable match. It's just a victim of there being zero build-up, so why do you even care that it's happening? But the point of the match was the ending, China coming out and helping Mark. And again, you said that it was predictable, and it was, but it was predictable with still a good payoff. I agree, seeing Mark Henry just become ecstatic, like a little schoolboy here with a crush. He was ear to ear with that smile because of China, and D'Lo was happy for him too. D'Lo was laughing it up, and so the great ending match, forgettable, but good.
Yeah, what I noticed is another weird nuance with a taped show is that it seemed like Mark Henry was working heel in this match, but I don't know how this guy could be a heel after last week, what we saw with all those segments with him on a date with China and D'Lo busting a move, yeah. So it's just a little bit of a continuity thing, kind of like you mentioned with the Steve Austin sign earlier, and because Mark Henry's probably going to be babyface here if this continues. So China showing up and getting a nice cheeks comment from the King, and I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, those things were hiked up that crack.
Those cheeks. And Mark Henry and D'Lo Brown dynamic is still amazing. It's so good. And Mark Henry being more excited about China's assist than the actual win is just, I'll never get tired of that.
Yeah, it's like a buddy, or what do they call it? A bromance comedy.
There's just so much chemistry between all of them, as just general on-screen actors, I guess is what you could call it.
Yeah.
It seems like they have to be friends with each other at this point to have this type of chemistry.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna really cap it off with, at least. D'Lo, fantastic talent all around, but also apparently an extremely good friend, because he was just he's so supportive of everything that Mark's going through here. It's great to watch.
He also loves those fish and chips.
Yes, he does. This whole thing is like a Hallmark movie of the week. So let's go backstage now to the Outlaws. They were in a meeting with Shawn Michaels, the Big Boss Man, and Ken Shamrock. That was followed by the video package promoting StoneCold.com that we've commented on in the past. And then another view of the Stone Cold door backstage before we moved into our next match. Ken Shamrock and the Big Boss Man defeats D-Generation X. This is Triple H and X-Pac by disqualification in 8 minutes and 19 seconds in an anything goes match.
Apparently not anything.
Yeah. Triple H did his "Are you ready?" and "Let's get ready to suck it" thing. It was not exciting or inspiring at all. It was cringy in its own way.
Still glad to have him back, though.
Yes. Yup. He definitely needs to get rid of that, though. He needs to just come out to Motorhead, and that's
right.
it.
He's still doing it in 2026.
Ugh. Ugh.
Corporate try, if you will.
I'm glad I don't watch the modern product. For many reasons. So there were multiple references to the anything goes nature of the match here through the use of weapons, outside the ring attacks, double teaming, how a DQ finish was impossible. Shawn Michaels and the Outlaws then came down to the ring. I did like the chokehold that Ken Shamrock put on X-Pac. That's one of those holds that they were obviously working it and it was safe, but that's one of those holds that you can really fuck somebody else up with. Like, I want to say not too long ago, a citizen was murdered by a police officer in that kind of chokehold. But
selling loose cigarettes.
Yeah, I'm not positive on that, but I think that was the kind of hold that did him in. But in the end, the Outlaws weren't really corporate now. Billy Gunn gave Shamrock a chair shot to the dome. DQ was declared in a match that couldn't be a DQ, and everyone in D-Generation X celebrated. I think it's safe to say that this was the predictable outcome to this all along, based on the multiple other times the Outlaws have had their fake loyalty angles and about how long those have lasted. I thought the best thing in this match was Shamrock getting a chair straight to the dome, which I will never get tired of, by the way. So, Joe, what'd you think of this?
Yeah, this is the anything goes match, and I did not hear any Broadway numbers, so I was disappointed in this.
Anything goes, just not Broadway.
Shamrock taking another chair to the dome. Hard chair shot is always fun to see.
He takes no other type.
I have to say, I did not see this double cross happening tonight already. I figured they would save it for the pay-per-view or something, but here it was. And that's kind of why we have that feeling going into some of these DX things. We say, well, we've seen this before, and we see it all the time. So they gotta do something different with these guys, because it's just a little too predictable, and in this case, it was a little too soon, I think.
I completely agree. I thought the action was pretty good, actually. X-Pac in there against Shamrock and the Big Boss Man was pretty solid. Triple H, because he's still babying that knee, really didn't get in there that much. But ring action was very solid. But the ending pissed me off, because at the beginning of it, I didn't hate the corporate Outlaws. Again, I knew that they were eventually going to show their loyalty for DX, but I really didn't think it was going to be already tonight. Like, you got to drag this out a little bit, get somewhat of a payoff out of it. So I thought this kind of just threw the whole point of their turn into shit. So that kind of pissed me off.
Yeah, so I'm going to be talking out of my ass here, so just be forewarned. But I want to say, if you go back and look at the multiple other times that the Outlaws have in some way, shape, or form teased their loyalty or the breakup or whatever, it always lasts about 3 weeks, which I think is what we got here. This Raw was the 3-week mark, and so the swerve, the fake turn or whatever, it was due. So I totally understand wanting it to be on the pay-per-view, but that's just not the way that the Outlaw fake loyalty schedule works, fellas.
I guess not. You gotta follow the rules.
Yeah. Very predictable. And I agree. I really wish it was on the pay-per-view, because they could have gotten so much more creative with it that way, but no. But Shamrock got a chair to the side of his head, so
True.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Which would have forced him to go backstage and inject steroids directly to the forehead.
Well, to the side of the dome this time. That's one of the reasons why I liked this much, is because usually Shamrock takes it straight to the face. This time,
hard spot.
Yeah, right. This time
he took it to the soft spot.
This time Billy Gunn went for the soft parietal area, which is a little more dicey over there, but he's going to need a few extra milligrams of whatever they're pumping in there tonight. But
knuckle up.
Yeah, the knuckle up juice. So moving along, we went to backstage, DX's locker room. They were still celebrating their cleverness, and Chyna was struggling not to laugh and smile and ruin her still setting facial foundations in this.
I was gonna say I don't know if she can smile.
Yeah, she's still too Botoxed up. Back in Austin's dressing room, Mankind had apparently left Austin some beer and a note written in crayon saying for Steve to have a beer while Mankind went looking for The Rock. And that took us into our final match of the night. Steve Austin and Mankind defeat The Rock and The Undertaker with Paul Bearer by disqualification in 8 minutes and 15 seconds. This started with just Mankind and The Rock and Undertaker, but Austin did eventually make his way out, and the fight erupted up onto the entry ramp. This ended up settling with Austin and The Rock on the ramp, and Mankind and The Undertaker down around the ring. And it seemed like there really wasn't much of a plan at the start of this. There was a lot of walking around trying to figure out what to do and who to do it with. There was a couple times where I think Undertaker had Austin and The Rock had Mankind, and they just walked back and forth past each other in front of the commentary table looking for something to smash somebody's face off of. And once things settled into the ring and each team took their corners, I sat back to watch this, and I enjoyed it. I didn't really have any notes up through the arrival of the Big Boss Man and Ken Shamrock, and that's what gave Austin and Mankind the DQ victory. Austin and The Undertaker fought into the crowd while Mankind was handcuffed to one of the ropes. The Rock, the Boss Man, and Shamrock all disappeared. As far as I could tell, we did not see them leaving, and that left The Undertaker and Austin as our main point of focus. Austin got knocked out by the ring bell, allowing The Undertaker to carry Austin to the top of the ramp where some druids had appeared, and that crucifix was laying there, and they strapped Austin to it. Thankfully, there were very carefully placed handholds and a foot platform to prevent Austin from feeling the actually real discomforts of being crucified. Jerry Lawler started breathlessly describing this event, and while I was waiting for something supernatural to happen, a voiceover recording of The Undertaker played while The Undertaker was standing right there in front of us not talking, and we faded to black. While I was watching this, I actually ended up coming back to a theme that we touched on earlier this evening, and we've talked about it before, but I'm going to repeat it here because I feel that this is, I feel it's the same sentiment, but I feel it is much more worse in this case. Selling this shit is exhausting. The way that Jerry Lawler was talking about the crucifixion as it was happening, horrible, terrible. Some of the worst shit that I've heard come out of Jerry Lawler's mouth since he's been on Raw, and that's what, 6 years now? At least as long as we've been watching this. Like, forcing this fake awe into his voice, this fake quietness. Like, half the time it sounded like he was having an asthma attack. It was impossible for him to sell this, especially when all you had was Austin standing on a platform holding on to a couple of handholds with a couple of bungee cords wrapped around his arms. Now, I'm not saying that this wasn't entertaining to watch. It was. I like what they're doing here in theory, but the way that it was executed, it does not stand up for me. And I'm sorry to say that. I thought the lightning striking it and lighting it on fire, I thought that was cool as hell. This part of it, though, and I remember watching this live, and I remember liking this whenever I was a teenager. It's just the whole like the voiceover, like The Undertaker is standing right there. Like, he could have had a microphone and said all of this. Instead, I don't know. Anyway, I'll just leave it at, this did not hold up for me. So, Ryan, again, the asshole for The Undertaker. What did you have on this match and its aftermath?
Well, I'll start with the match. I was with you. I thought the ring work was very entertaining. You have 4 of your biggest stars in the company going toe-to-toe. How isn't this going to deliver? Then you have Shamrock and the Big Boss Man come out. They handcuff Mankind, so he can't help out at all. Undertaker takes the bell to Austin's head, so they don't even have to add the sound effect for this one.
That was great.
It's built in. And then the Undertaker throws him over his shoulder like a continental soldier and takes him up to the crucifixion. Very memorable, like both of you have said. This is extremely memorable episode. But again, I'm going to disagree with you, Bartlett. For me, it held up. To be honest with you, I didn't even listen to what the King was saying. I couldn't even tell you anything the King said because I just wasn't really paying attention to it. But as far as a closer, a go-home show, I think this works really well. You have Stone Cold, who he's your impenetrable star hero who hardly ever looks vulnerable, but here he couldn't look any more vulnerable. The Undertaker had him up in the air crucified, and he looked terrified. So I thought this is a very good way to set up their match and to make Stone Cold look like maybe he's not going to be able to pull this one off.
I feel, well, I want to start with Mankind leaving a bag of cold ones for Steve Austin. Let's go back to a positive thing here. I absolutely loved that. I thought that was fantastic because, again, week after week, it seems like Mankind is using somebody different every week to propel himself into that top guy territory. And this week it was Austin. And I love it.
And let's not forget the pun in that letter that he's heading off for the Rocky as he gave him some Coors Light.
Yeah, very close to being my highlight of the show was that piece there. The match, again, you have 4 superstar Hall of Famers. It's going to be, your eyes are going to be glued to it. It's going to be entertaining. As far as the crucifix symbol and that sort of stuff, I agree more with you, Bartlett, where it didn't really age well for me, but I completely understand the interest that it would have drawn on TV back in 1998.
Yes.
So I don't want to shit on it that much because at the time, it's definitely a product of its time. Let's just put it that way.
Certainly.
I view it as I would any horror movie from 1998 that doesn't really hold up very well either. That's the same feeling for me. I liked earlier when they did the burning of the symbol and Undertaker telling Austin that he's going to burn in hell, but then they had a match with each other an hour later. So that sort of ruins what they did earlier to me. And having Austin just standing, not even hanging, but standing on this platform, like, let me down. It almost seemed like a bullying, like a high school bully, hanging up someone
by their
in their
underwear on the fence pole.
Yeah, that which he looked like he was in his underwear. So it was like it gave me that feel. So it just didn't. I don't know. It didn't hit with me, but the burning of the symbol earlier and the promo did. So I feel like if they would have just done that, I would have been happy with it. But yeah, this was memorable for sure, but just didn't really hold up that well, I don't think, for me 30 years later or whatever.
Yeah, and this gets back to me saying this is exhausting because like the mental gymnastics that I'm having to do in order to be accepting of this. Because like we had The Undertaker trying to kill Austin. We had proof earlier tonight, Joe, like you said, that The Undertaker can also apparently call down lightning and strike this thing. He gets Austin up on it. And here's your chance, man. You've been trying to kill this fucker for
catching on fire
weeks. Shoot him with lightning. He's right there. You did it once already. Like
the other question I had, I obviously liked it a little bit better than you two did, but the big thing I had a question of is where the fuck was Kane tonight?
Yeah.
He was helping out Stone Cold and him were buddy last week.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, no Kane whatsoever. He's not even in the building.
Did we even see how Undertaker broke out of the nut house from last week?
No.
I'm assuming B.A. Brackus and the A-Team went and busted him out.
That was on Superstars.
Another thing worth pointing out is that I can't remember if I shared this in the news already. I think I did, but this is another thing they maybe stole from ECW was the crucifixion angle. ECW, I think, was on a pay-per-view, but it almost seems like they're trying for that too hot for TV type of thing here that they borrowed or stole from ECW, who already did something like this.
That was the night that Kurt Angle was on ECW.
Yes, and he walked out and
he was very pissed off about it because I think Raven crucified the Sandman, if I'm remembering.
Yes.
Or no, it was Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer.
It was definitely
got
Raven.
Crucified.
Yeah. Raven was certainly involved.
Yeah, I do believe that was Tommy Dreamer that got crucified, not the Sandman. But anyway, yeah, you're right. That's a great point too. This was certainly a more sanitized version of what ECW did, a more USA Network friendly version, we'll maybe say. So as I said, we faded to black. So let's take it on over to highlights, lowlights, and our favorite signs. Joe, why don't you take that first?
My low light is the fact that I had to see Tiger Ali sing on 2 different occasions tonight. I hated that. My highlight is the first time that we've seen the Acolytes in a match. I thought that was really cool to see, and I really enjoyed that. My favorite sign, I'm actually not going to go with a sign this week. I might be breaking the rules, but the DX plant that they had at the beginning of the show that was shaking her boobs with the glow sticks, that is my favorite, what I will call sign of the night.
Okay. That's a sign to get you
of some sort.
Some groupie.
Yes.
My highlight is going to be the burning of the crucifixion segment. I agree with both of you. That was definitely way better than the final segment, and that turned out to be my highlight, mostly because first shot of the ministry crucifixion symbol, and it was a cool segment. Low light, Headbangers versus the Brood.
Yeah.
Headbangers are involved. I don't give a fuck, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Brood took the brunt of that tonight. Favorite sign. This goes to what I was saying earlier. I couldn't find one. I looked all night. All the signs were pretty generic and just kind of 316 that or smell this. I couldn't find anything. So yeah, I did not find a favorite sign tonight.
New Haven's just a little too Ivy League.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to start with that. I had almost verbatim the exact same thing noted here, Ryan. I couldn't find a sign. The only ones that I really saw were a bunch of 316 variants. And that's it.
Yeah. There were a few that maybe would have been good, but like they were so elaborate that the text was so small I couldn't read it.
Couldn't read it, yeah.
Right.
I think there was one about Bischoff that was like that, but you couldn't see what the rest of it was.
Right.
I wonder if they just cracked down in that arena on inappropriate signs.
I think I'm just going to roll with the citizens of New Haven, Connecticut being very unoriginal, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
New Haven audience plummeting as we speak.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
good pizza, terrible signs.
So my highlights, I actually ended up going with China helping Mark Henry, and then the joy brought to Mark Henry's face. I can't get enough of it. It's infectious. I absolutely love it. I really do. Lowlights, I had to go with the crucifixion. There were a lot of really potential lowlights in this. I can think of a handful just off the top of my head, 2 of which you guys have already gone over, but the crucifixion of Austin at the end just really ruined that match for me, and it was like a shitty capper to the episode for me. So that's my lowlight. Joseph, do you have any contemporary wrestling news from on and around December 7th, 1998 for us?
Yes, I do. As we head into the next pay-per-view here, the latest round of mainstream media stories were the Stone Cold Steve Austin story in Rolling Stone that they featured on tonight's show. There was also a Bill Goldberg feature in People magazine this same week. There is also news of 2 different networks doing movies and an autobiography. 2 different networks doing movies and an autobiography book planned on the life of Jesse Ventura. So he is a hot topic here after winning governor of Minnesota. The WWF held the Capital Carnage event in the UK, which was the special UK pay-per-view on December 6th, the night before this show. And as we noted, there were a couple of notable things that happened in this event. As we noted earlier, Jim Ross, he got the news that his mother passed away on December 5th, and he actually stayed in England and did the show, but on the day of the show began suffering from Bell's palsy and severe headaches while doing the show. And by the next day, the right side of his face was paralyzed. And this was actually his second attack that he has suffered up to this point. I think the other one was back in 94, I think is what Meltzer reported.
Yeah.
I think what I read, it was right after he got fired from the WWF the first time.
Yeah. Fired for having Bell's palsy.
Yes.
I can't have that face on there, pal.
Yeah, no, you can't. And bad news that we shared earlier, of course, is that we probably won't see Jim Ross again until WrestleMania 15, unfortunately. So that is bad news. Good news that happened during this event, Capital Carnage, is the event where Jacqueline revealed her puppies, if you will. This was
maybe we should have covered that episode.
Yeah. Well, this was a match between Jacqueline and Sable. After the match, an enraged Jacqueline tried to attack the referee, Tim White, punching him to the floor. But Tim White stood up with Jacqueline on his shoulders, and Sable ripped away her clothes, leaving her completely topless and causing her to run to the back. The nudity was not edited out of the VHS tape in the United States. So if any of you have that VHS tape, you are...
Mail it in.
One, yes.
You've got one of...
You are a lucky fan.
One up on us.
Yeah.
So that all happened at Capital Carnage, 1998. Dave Meltzer pointed out last week that when Steve Austin was in the hallway with a shovel looking for The Undertaker, the woman he walked by and had a brief conversation with was Stephanie McMahon, Vince's daughter. We obviously know that by watching now, but at the time, we didn't know that, but Dave Meltzer was on it. He's also reporting that the Acolyte's name was picked by the Jackal.
Oh.
So the Jackal was good for something.
Yeah, I guess we got to give him credit for that.
Our friend Butterbean was on TSN's Off the Record show and talked of a potential match with Bart Gunn. WWF has talked about doing Brawl for All rules shoot matches with Bart Gunn against Butterbean or against some UFC fighters, although it is not high on the priority list and nothing has been finalized.
Well, nothing with Bart Gunn's high on the priority list.
Well, I think we know it will shoot up pretty high on that priority list. Last piece of news here I thought was just fantastic and just really telling on some things that would happen in the future. Dave Meltzer reports that Vince McMahon apparently wanted The Rock to actually bend over and kiss his ass on the November 16th TV show, but The Rock refused to do it.
Good.
Good for him.
Yes.
So that was pretty crazy to read that at this time, because he does that whole ass kissing thing later.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously does some really fucked up stuff in real life later on. So
because he wears like that G-string.
Yes.
God.
He looks like China coming out there tonight.
Yeah.
No shake.
And that is all this week.
All right. Well, thank you, Joseph. Illuminating as always. And that's it, folks. We are done with this one. I want to thank you again for joining us. If you like what we're doing here and want to connect with us, you can email us at WRASSLINRAW just at gmail.com to the end of that to submit questions or comments. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, on every podcast subscription platform. And while you're there, don't forget to follow and subscribe to get every episode of Wrasslin Raw coming to you with every release. Give us a 5-star review and tell all of your friends to tune in to the most zealous Monday Night Raw review podcast on the airwaves. Next time on Wrasslin Raw, we're going to take a look at In Your House 26, Rock Bottom, with matches featuring the Job Squad, the Oddities, and many more. So, for Joe and Ryan, I'm Jason, and this has been Wrasslin Raw.